It is clear that we're living in an age of a pandemic age where, as Mike Ryan at WHO has said, we're living in an age which is going to have more frequent and more complex pandemics. And yet it is extraordinarily difficult when governments are faced with dealing with the challenges of day-to-day to also put in place those critical infrastructures, resilience and surge capacity and spare capacity that would allow to deal with the unexpected but inevitable disruptions that are going to occur. So I think in the UK and around the world, despite the warnings of the last 20 years, there has been a complacency about the need to prepare for these sorts of major disruptive events, which go well beyond health to the whole of society. And the UK, yes, was complacent in regard to planning for that.
That will ultimately get us out of this mess with a vaccine. But this is also a kind of, we're going to have to take the silver linings on this. This is a mandatory rehearsal for things to come that we are going to have to deal with as a society. That will ultimately get us out of this mess with a vaccine. But this is also a kind of, we're going to have to take the silver linings on this. This is a mandatory rehearsal for things to come that we are going to have to deal with as a society.
Using a sharp scissor, perform longitudinal skin incisions to the sides of each animal, starting ½ a centimeter below the knee joint and finishing ½ a centimeter above the elbow. Following the incision, gently detach the skin from the subcutaneous fascia by holding the skin up with a pair of curved forceps and separating the fascia with a second pair to create ½ a centimeter of free skin. The olecranons and knee joints are clearly distinguishable following the skin incision. Begin joining the left and right olecranons. First, bend the elbow of the first mouse and pass the needle of the 3/0 suture under the olecranon. Second, bend the elbow of the second mouse and pass the same suture under it. Attach the joints tightly by a double surgical knot. Next, connect the knee joints following the same procedure. Following the attachment of the joints, connect the skin of the two animals with a continuous absorbable 5/0 vicryl suture starting ventrally from the elbow. To prevent skin rupture and separation, perform tight suture closures of the skin in the area around the elbows and knees.
The technology now is, and digital technologies mainly have an analytical power. Now we go into a predictive power, and we have seen the first examples, and your company very much involved into it. But then the next step could be to go into a prescriptive mode, which means you do not even have to have elections anymore, because you can already predict, and afterwards you can say, why do we need elections? Because we know what the result will be.
Алло, Зеленский? Все, не о чем тебе больше шутить. Перед вами лучший Петя среди самых лучших Петь. Я устроил вам бизнес, поставил шах и мат, доведу до экстаза и продам свой шоколад. Берите паспорт, деньги, карты, чемоданы, личный код и летите все вы в Пизу. Между нами тает лед.
Right-wing extremists are into that gender binary, which is very oppressive.
So I'm just really fast. I'm not a right-wing extremist. I'm actually a
United States. You have American flag on your shirt.
I'm a United States Air Force veteran. My parents are legal immigrants from the Middle East. I don't give into the right wing. I'm not right-wing just because I don't give into that. Like, for instance,
Well, do you believe there are two genders?
Yes, I believe there's...
then you're a right-wing extremist.
That has nothing to do with being right-wing. There's men and women. If some people have gender dysphoria...
Did you wear a mask during the pandemic?
I definitely did not wear a mask.
Well, then you are a right-wing extremist.
God, dude, I can't, like...
I'm getting very uncomfortable here. I am already, risking my life being here that you're not wearing a mask.
Are you...
The President and the First Lady, since she tested positive for COVID-19 last night. I can tell you that the First Lady is experiencing mild symptoms and will remain in Delaware for the week. President Biden tested negative last night for COVID-19 and tested negative again today. He's not experiencing any symptoms. As far as the steps he is taking, since the President was with the First Lady yesterday, he will be masking while indoors and around people in alignment with CDC guidance. And as has been the practice in the past, the President will remove his mask when sufficiently distanced from others indoors and while outside as well. The CDC guidelines recommend a combination of masking, testing, and monitoring for symptoms. The President is doing all of that in close consultation with his physician.
As you can see, Whoopi is not here. She has COVID. Yes, it's back. It's back.
It's back.
But she's on the mend. She's on the tail end, and she'll probably be back this week. But sorry she's not here. For those of you who are looking forward to seeing her.
The great achievements of civilization have not come from government bureaus. Einstein didn't construct his theory under order from a bureaucrat. Henry Ford didn't revolutionize the automobile industry that way. In the only cases in which the masses have escaped from the kind of grinding poverty you're talking about, the only cases in recorded history are where they have had capitalism and largely free trade. If you want to know where the masses are worst off, it's exactly in the kinds of societies that depart from that. So that the record of history is absolutely crystal clear, that there is no alternative way so far discovered of improving the lot of the ordinary people that can hold a candle to the productive activities that are unleashed by a free enterprise system.
But it seems to reward not virtue as much as ability to manipulate the system.
And what does reward virtue? You think a communist commissar rewards virtue? You think a Hitler rewards virtue? You think, excuse me, if you'll pardon me, do you think American presidents reward virtue? Do they choose their appointees on the basis of the virtue of the people appointed or on the basis of their political clout? Is it really true that political self-interest is nobler somehow than economic self-interest? You know, I think you're taking a lot of things for granted. And just tell me where in the world you find these angels who are going to organize society for us. Well, I don't even trust you to do that.
I think the challenge now is to see what we can do as a group and how we can best utilize what our common strength is.
It's exciting. It's the inaugural summit of the Forum of Young Global Leaders.
And we only are able to drive change if we are optimistic, but with a realistic background, with both feet on the ground, but believing in people.
I've learned a lot over the last 2 days. Perhaps not solved any issues as such, but learned about the environment, global security issues, poverty development, and everyone's brought an interesting perspective to the whole debate. And I appreciate all their contribution.
We have no vested interest. We can easily address taboos. We can tell politicians how things really are, which obviously once we're 10 years further and we're all running countries or huge companies or whatever, it might become slightly more difficult.
My hope was to meet a lot of people a lot of folks here knew each other already, and my hope was to meet them for the first time, and it's going pretty well.
And you mentioned, David, Henry Kissinger, and I think he first was noticed by the Rockefeller family after he wrote a very erudite work on nuclear weapons and nuclear war back in the late 1950s.
Nuclear weapons and foreign policy.
Right.
Yes.
It was then published, and from that time on, he became pretty close to the Rockefeller family.
Well, he did. Actually, I guess I was the first one who got to know him because he was a member of an organization called the Council on Foreign Relations in New York, and there was a study group at that time that he, as then a young instructor at Harvard, presided at. I was so impressed by him that I introduced him to my brother Nelson, who was then governor of New York and was then considering seeking the presidency of the United States. They became great friends, and actually Henry became Nelson's foreign policy advisor as long as he was in public life, and I think is one of the remarkable international statesmen in the world today. Even 30 years after he was Secretary of State, he is still asked by heads of state when he travels the world for his advice.
Let me go back to the time you said when you came here, it transformed your life. Was there a course, a professor who really made that difference for you?
Yes, there was one course, one seminar of Henry Kissinger, which really opened my eyes. I wasn't accepted to the seminar, but I sat in. I think he let me in because I was German. And it was relatively shortly after the war. There were not too many Germans here. And this created a friendship which has endured until today. And you know, Henry has been several times in Davos. And I think it was mainly participating in his seminars that I developed my interest for geopolitical affairs.
To be clear, I think one of the things we're talking about here is that there are now weapons under development and developed that are designed to target specific people. Right? That's what this is, where you can actually take someone's DNA, take their medical profile, and you can target a biological weapon that will kill that person or take them off the battlefield or make them inoperable. So you can't have a discussion about this without talking about privacy and commercial data and the protection of commercial data, because expectations of privacy have degraded over the last 20 years. Young folks actually have very little expectation of privacy. That's what the polling and the data show. And people will very rapidly spit into a cup and send it into 23andMe and get really interesting data about their background. And guess what? Their DNA is now owned by a private company and can be sold off with very little intellectual property protection or privacy protection. And we don't have legal and regulatory regimes to deal with that. So we have to have an open and public discussion, and this is going to have to be a political discussion about what does the protection of healthcare information, DNA information, and your data look like, because that data is actually going to be procured and collected by our adversaries for the development of these systems.
Also, if we look at food security, and what can our adversaries do with biological weapons that are directed at our animal agriculture, at our agricultural sector? Hoof and mouth disease, highly pathogenic avian influenza, African swine fever. All of these things have circulated around the globe, but if targeted by an adversary, we know that it brings about food insecurity.
The theme of Davos is going to be the fourth industrial revolution, an all-consuming industrial revolution right across the board, the speed of change 1,000 times faster than during the first industrial revolution, and affecting all services, all products, all countries, all industries, and all people. It's going to lead to job destruction, so we've got to think about the jobs of the future and how we create them. It's going to lead to massive technological change in the way we deliver services. It's going to force governments to change their minds about how they operate. And all this has been set out by Klaus Schwab in the speech he made in Abu Dhabi to the summit of the Agenda Councils. But what's also interesting is that unless we invest in the infrastructure of the future, then we will not get the benefits of this fourth industrial revolution. There are still more than 1 billion people who are without electricity. There are thousands and millions of people without water. People are without hospitals and without schools. And there is no secret that we've got to learn about how these can be built. They can be built. The question is, can we bring the public and private sectors together to do so? The World Economic Forum is the premier forum for bringing and coordinating and catalyzing the work of public and private sectors together. And I believe we can make major advances on this in the next year, particularly the summit at Davos that's going to be held in January.
I have friends who are aristocrats, I have friends who are upper class, I have friends who are, working class, but I'm not working class, but I mix and match, and then I go to see kids from an inner city state school and tell them, to apply to Oxford and talk to them about people like me, and then I shock them at the end of chatting to them for half an hour and tell them I was at Winchester, and, one of my best friends is from Eton or whatever, and then they're like, oh, okay.
A lot of my analysis of the future of pregnancy and the artificial uterus is based on my concern for the health and well-being for the bodies of those who gestate babies. If you're a woman of childbearing age, the most likely reason for you to end up needing medical treatment is pregnancy and childbirth.
The project we are working on, which is often called artificial womb, but we call it mostly perinatal life support. Our goal is to help extremely preterm babies.
I think it's very easy to be led off track by the slightly matrix nature of this technology. To be fair, I don't think that's a very accurate representation of what anyone's trying to do.
I think there's always an ethical price. My job as a scientist is to make the technology and put it on the table.
We are going to be capable of creating an external womb within a generation or two, and we all are going to have a completely different reaction to what it means for us and for our lives. I imagined an alternate reality where the invention of a portable external womb has been widely accepted throughout society. I worked as a bioengineer myself, so my background is as a scientist, and I suggested this as a solution. It can save the lives of premature babies. It can be life-changing for people who wouldn't otherwise be able to have a child in all sorts of ways. But there are also some huge questions. If technology replaces traditional pregnancy and childbirth, then who owns that technology? Who controls its use? Who is it going to be for? Is this something that could be forced on people?
People with a uterus are generally expected to be the ones that carry pregnancies. If artificial uteruses were available to everyone, yes, I think it could really make a difference to sort of gender roles. On the one hand, maybe we would just see a much greater fluidity, but I do think it's possible that we might see things go the other way. We still live in societies where women come under heavy pressure to fulfill certain social norms and expectations. But what makes the revolution is not the scientific development in itself. It's the social response to that.
For me personally, I think it would be great.
The difference of this fourth industrial revolution is it doesn't change what you are doing. It changes you. If you take genetic editing, just as an example, it's you who are changed. And of course, this has a big impact on your identity.
And offers certain kinds of possibilities that have to be careful about. You know, when you began to do that kind of gene editing, some people worry that you are changing what it means to be human.
That's the problem. And of course, the new industrial revolution offers us many opportunities, but it raises manifold questions on the ethical, but even legal implications. And we have to be prepared for it, and that's what we want to do in Davos next year.
Talk about.
Attention Ford Tractor employees in Troy, Michigan, Local 1273. Report for work at your normal starting time Thursday, October 14th. Signed, Tractor Operations Plant Management, Ford Motor Company. A Private's Affair on Night Shift Movie later tonight on 7. This is Channel 7's 11 o'clock Action News with Bill Bonds, John Kelly, and Detroit's #1 news team.
Good evening, everybody. I'm Bill Bonds, and here's a look at what's happening tonight. And what's happening is that the swine flu vaccination program ground to a halt from coast to coast today. There have been now 12 reported deaths so far, with victims dying just a few hours after receiving those inoculative shots. All of the victims were elderly persons, and all, we are told, died of apparent heart attacks.
Well, hey, it's me. I'm finally going to get my vaccine. I'm so excited.
Country music legend Dolly Parton got a dose of her own medicine Tuesday when she was vaccinated with Moderna's COVID-19 shot, which she helped fund last year. And in a video posted on social media, Parton implored her followers to do the same.
I think we all want to get back to normal, whatever that is, and that would be a great shot in the arm, wouldn't it, if we could get back to that. But anyhow, I just wanted to encourage everybody, because the sooner we get to feeling better, the sooner we are going to get back to being normal.
The 75-year-old singer even put a modern spin on one of her old classics, Jolene.
Vaccine, 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 vaccine. I'm begging of you, please don't hesitate. Vaccine, 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 vaccine. 'Cause once you're dead, then that's a bit too late.
About changes which would be brought about in the next 30 years or so that an entirely new worldwide system would be in operation before the turn of the century. As he put it, we plan to enter the 21st century with a running start. He said as we listened to what he was about to present, he said, some of you will think I'm talking about communism. Well, what I'm talking about is much bigger than communism. At that time, he indicated there is much more cooperation between East and West than most people realize. In his introductory remarks, he commented that he was free to speak at this time. He would not have been able to say what he was about to say even a few years earlier, but he was free to speak at this time because now, and I'm quoting here, everything is in place and nobody can stop us now. That's the end of that quotation. He went on to say that most people don't understand how governments operate, and even people in high positions in governments, including our own, don't really understand how and where decisions are made. He went on to say that the people who really influence decisions are names that, for the most part, would be familiar to most of us, but he would not use individuals' names or names of any specific organizations. But that if he did, most of the people would be names that were recognized by most of his audience. He went on to say that they were not primarily people in public office, but people of prominence who were primarily known in their private occupations or private positions. The speaker was a doctor of medicine, a former professor at a large Eastern university, and he was addressing a group of doctors of medicine, about 80 in number. His name would not be widely recognized by anybody likely to hear this, and so there's no point in giving his name. The only purpose in recording this is that it may give a perspective to those who hear it regarding the changes which have already been accomplished in the past 20 years or so, and a bit of a preview to what at least some people are planning for the remainder of this century, so that we, or they, would enter the 21st century with a flying start. Some of us may not enter that century. His purpose in telling our group about these changes that were to be brought about was to make it easier for us to adapt to these changes. Indeed, as he quite accurately said, they would be changes that would be very surprising and in some ways difficult for people to accept, and he hoped that we, as sort of his friends, would make the adaptation more easily if we knew somewhat beforehand what to expect. Somewhere in the introductory remarks, he insisted that nobody have a tape recorder and that nobody take notes, which for a professor was a very remarkable kind of thing to expect from an audience. Something in his remarks suggested that there could be negative repercussions against him if it became widely known what he was about to say to our group, if it became widely known that indeed he had spilled the beans, so to speak. When I first heard that, I thought maybe that was sort of an ego trip, somebody enhancing his own importance. But as the revelations unfolded, I began to understand why he might have had some concern about not having it widely known what was said, although this was a fairly public forum where he was speaking. The remarks were delivered, but nonetheless he asked that no notes be taken, no tape recorder be used, suggesting there might be some personal danger to himself if these revelations were widely publicized. Again, as the remarks began to unfold and some of the rather outrageous things that were said at that time, they certainly seemed outrageous, I made it a point to try to remember as much of what he said as I could, and during the subsequent weeks and months and years to connect my recollections to simple events around me, both to aid my memory for the future in case I wanted to do what I'm doing now, record this, and also to try to maintain a perspective on
Good evening.
Spook, can you hear me?
I can hear you. It's a bit loud.
So are you.
Can you hear us all right, everybody?
Is it too loud for
and direct. Evening free thinkers everywhere. Fighting creator traders in cloud world. Welcome to Sheep Farm Raw live stream. Sorry to put you through that 30-minute Don't Believe the Matrix video, number 17.
If I'd have heard that Dolly Parton song before, I'd have definitely got it tapped.
Yeah, I would as well. Yeah. With me tonight, as you can see, is our Chris, Mr. Nostrils himself.
Good evening.
Which piss are you dining out on tonight?
I've got a bottle of Rioja right here.
Right. What happened to that beef eater? You've gone through that like...
I've gone months ago.
Months? It was only a few weeks ago.
I had 12 bottles.
Only had 12. You didn't? You bought 2 cases of it?
Yeah, over like 2 months.
Have you got your vest on?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not my witch piss one, because it's in the wash.
Your bitch tits one.
We've just I've just put a load of new I've just put a load of new t-shirts in his merch shop if anyone wants to have a look. Right. In sheepfarm.co.uk. I've been doing all day today.
Yeah, all those Don't Believe the Matrix videos are on Rumble and Odyssey as well. I think I might be taking them off YouTube because there might be, I don't know, I can see them causing problems for us at some point.
Right.
On YouTube. And as much as I hate them, anyway, we probably still need to use them for what we do. So we've got a bit of a presentation together, and we're going to be joined in about 10 minutes or so by Mr. Bajowski. He's going to come on and have a chinwag with us. There's a few things happening, actually, a few events. People have been asking me about... Well, I think we're going to be going up to Middlesbrough, but there is an event going on in September 23rd or 24th to the 24th, with all these speakers on in Middlesbrough. I think there's an email address there on that flyer. Mark Devlin's there, Dave Murphy, and a few other people who you know, John Hamer. And we're going to go up to the one in November, I believe, November 25th to 26th. Don't know much about it, don't know where it is, apart from it's in Middlesbrough. It's like getting blood out of a stone, trying to get it out of Nathan where it's going to be. But anyway, he might respond after I've said that. Also, we're going to be doing one in December, on December 9th in Huddersfield with Jonathan Halstead. I'll get you some more information on that when I get it myself, when he gets the flyer up and ready. Mark Devlin's on his 4th YouTube channel. Also, Daz from The Light asked me to tell you about his upcoming tour and his new album with the Daz Band. If you're interested, you go to dazband.com. God Vlamast is another one. I know we're going through these, but I just want to make people aware that people have been turned off, so where they can go find them. His Creator Earth channel is on Rumble now. He's got all his videos uploaded there. I've been going back through them again because I missed a couple when he got turned off. Yeah. Remember, if you can, subscribe to the website. You don't have to be a member, it won't cost you anything. Just because if we ever get switched off, you will get all the update email notifications, etc. that's going on. I think Mark's floating about somewhere. He's not there sat at his desk at the moment. Oh, he is actually, I can see him. I'll bring him in now, actually. Hey up, Mark. How are we doing?
Steady away.
You all right, mate?
Hello, Mr. Bajewski.
How are you doing, Chris?
Yeah, good, thanks, mate.
You all right? You come to Spain and you don't call me.
I know. I thought you were in blooming Baaaa.
Yeah.
To be fair, I went on. My missus' dad gets a villa over here, and we don't leave the villa. It's like Big Brother. We're just trapped in there, so I can't actually go anywhere.
Fair enough.
We're near you.
I would have crashed you.
Yeah.
We're near Malaga. Is that where you are?
Yeah, I'm like 20 minutes away from you. 20 minutes from where you were. Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I didn't know. Sorry, mate. I would.
Anyway, let's move on.
All right, sorry.
Yeah. I don't think
They're
anybody
getting the same one next year anyway,
just
Mark.
about your holiday, Chris. Mark introduced us to Ollie Damagard, who we did a fantastic. Me and Chris had a great chat with him last week. We did 2 hours with Ollie, over 2 hours, and it could have gone on and on and on, really, couldn't it, Chris?
Yeah, great, I know. Yeah.
That will be released tomorrow, and I'll release this recording as a podcast as well. It reminded me of a couple of books, actually, that I'd read. These 2 books here, Me and Lee, and by Judy Very Baker. I don't know if anybody's read that. It's a really thick book by a lady who was Lee Harvey Oswald's girlfriend in 1962-63. I think it was 63. And that was the basis of was included in the story of Dr. Mary's Monkey as well.
I hadn't read that one, in fact. I've read Dr. Mary's Monkey. I've got it right here, actually.
Yeah.
I hadn't read the have you read Me and Lee? Is it good? I've heard her being interviewed a few times.
Me and Lee, yeah.
Yeah, because that's who Ollie was talking about, isn't it?
Yes, yeah. Also, worth a mention is where did the towers go, seeing as we're around the 9/11 mark. Can you believe it? It's 20 odd years, what is it, 22 years since 9/11. And then the Drag the New Arm Spear 2-dart finish, double tap, back out on 9/11 as well.
Yeah.
We'll have a talk about that in a little bit. Mark, did you manage to sit through watching that 30-minute video?
Take a wild guess.
No. But that first song on there, we're interested in. You Make Me Feel Mighty Real. And at the end of them, it shows them coming out. Well, it shows them coming out of. It was obviously sung by a transvestite originally. It was a Heineken video, and it said the night belongs to the 3-dart finished. Time to join them. That was back in 2021. That was at the height of the push.
Very dark video.
Very dark video. Yeah, dark and sinister video.
I noticed the club that they go into, Dom, says El Caballo de la Noche. I mean, that's
LGBTQ
Spanish.
Caballo.
And it means dark night. It means the dark night, as in the Batman Dark Knight. What a weird thing to put in a nightclub.
A night.
Yeah.
Well, again,
I don't know what relevant.
The night belongs to the double-speared, and it's called the Dark Knight.
The only relevance I could think of was it came out in 2008, and then Divot came out 11 years after.
Right.
Don't know if that means up. Who knows?
Well, I mean, Sylvester, who sung it, You Make Me Feel, was called the Queen of Disco. So obviously they continued to push the LGBTQ thing, because it wasn't just the Queen of Disco. She was androgynous, as in she had both masculine and feminine like characteristics.
Right.
So, I mean, anybody of that age listening to that, which all them people who were in the video were, and like I'm probably just a bit before my time, the 70s, but anybody of that age would have that emotional connection to it, wouldn't they?
Yeah. Yeah, it's weird that video to me, it doesn't look like what it's selling. It doesn't look upbeat and nice. It looks dark and sinister.
Horrible.
I don't know if you saw it, Mark. And then at the end, all the old folk jump off that pier, which I thought was kind of weird.
Well, do you know, if you think about the history of Sylvester, she was in the Croquettes, which were a psychedelic hippie theatre group, founded by a guy called George Edgley Harris, a.k.a. Hibiscus. Hibiscus is that guy who's putting that flower, that famous picture, in that rifle. He just happened to be leader of the dance troupe that Sylvester were in.
Right.
Going back, so a lot of these things have real history. It was called Flower Power, that picture.
I mean, that's like an early version of a meme, I suppose, isn't it? It was used like that.
Where are you, AC? And all the meme artists. That photograph was taken during a Vietnam War protest in Washington. So he was leading And there were two people. There were Sylvester and Divine in that. You know, the other one. She was nicknamed the Queen of B movie filth.
Yeah.
What a nickname to have.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. And the croquettes were influenced by Ken Kesey and his Merry Pranksters.
Yeah.
It all links back to this mind control type LSD MK Ultra type program, doesn't it?
It's never gone away. It's never gone away.
Never gone away.
It's always been here. It's just now it's in our face.
Yeah. It's so bloody obvious now. Ken Kesey, obviously, as people know, he volunteered or was lied to, and he ended up being put into the MK Ultra project. So he was actually brainwashed.
Wow.
And that's Ken Kesey, the bottom part, the bottom picture.
You know what, Don? We're saying wow, but who hasn't been brainwashed?
We all have, mate.
All of us.
All of us, in some way, shape, or form, mate. I mean, just looking at Heineken, for argument's sake, Heineken is a $3.3 billion business with assets of $50 billion, pushing the spears, right? They are a funder. They're one of the corporate partners of the World Economic Forum. Yeah, so the people that own Heineken, they're Dutch billionaires worth about $17 billion. You know, these companies are being utilised. That's part of the brainwashing, isn't it? Because people associate Heineken with fun and having a laugh, etc. Hence the video. When in reality, there's a real dark, murky world underneath there, isn't there?
Yeah.
But they literally buy out any small brewery as well, I believe, Dom.
Yeah, just like big
so they don't just. It's not just Heineken.
Pharma, right?
They own everything.
Big Pharma's buying everything now. All health companies. I mean, I was just going through it last week. I got some supplements here, and I just did a quick search. They're all owned by Big Pharma.
Yeah, all of them.
Disguised as like independent, small versions. It's like, do you know what? This sounds really silly, right? Just to bring it up, but I bought one of those bulldog razors years ago, and then you find out, and it looks like an independent. And if you read the story of it, it's an independent guy decided razors were too this and that. And so he set up his own razor company in his garage, and Wilkinson Sword owned it.
Yeah,
he got bought out by Wilkinson Sword.
I mean, what is organic nowadays?
Yeah, exactly. Organic's been it's been hijacked.
Organic isn't organic, is it?
It's bullshit now. No. Organic to them who are trying to push what they're pushing is basically it's not organic. So they've just stolen the word, Dom.
Yeah. As FPV Angel said, it's all part of the construct, and it is. It's all part of the construct. I mean, that lady there's part of the Heineken family. And that guy there's a husband, and he was an actor, and I think he was a hedge fund investor for all the major banks. I can't remember which banks he was an investor for, but he's them two the largest single shareholders of Heineken. I think they have a controlling interest of 25%. Oh, sorry, and as you can see, Heineken's a World Economic Forum partner, and you've got to be worth $5 billion plus to qualify to get into that little cartel there. These are, but behind Heineken, then you've got all the shareholders. So look at the shareholders. Yeah. Is it any wonder they're making an advert to push the double tap 3-dart finish when they've got all them shareholders there?
Yeah.
I mean, Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, Bill Gates on his own, Linsell Trust are a massive hedge fund. Anyway, Vanguard Group. But behind that, like a lot of these companies on their own fund the World Economic Forum as well. So, and like the Gates Foundation set up Gavi, which is Bill Gates's arm spear wet dream. And the second video was this guy. I don't know if you remember him saying we live in a pandemic age. I don't know if you remember him saying that.
Yeah, I remember.
Yeah, well, he's Sir Jeremy Farrar, and he said it's clear we're living in a pandemic age, and he was the director of the Wellcome Trust, CEO of the Wellcome Trust, the second largest NGO in the world, $26 billion endowment that never seems to decrease. It only ever seems to get bigger, but they give the money away, Mark.
Amazing.
It is amazing. I don't know how they do it.
No, me neither, mate. It's just, I'm clueless to it.
Yeah, every business I've been in, if you give money away, you haven't got a business anymore.
Yeah, to a degree, you're absolutely right. But most corporates normally give away 5% as I'm a good company and we do this for charity. But mostly they do it because it's part of the corporate plan, basically.
Yeah, yeah. Well, this guy here is, when you think about the people, the stitching within this fabric, if you like, he's one of these people because he worked for Sage. He was one of the head honchos for Sage. So he's running Wellcome Trust that are handing out all the other arm spears to children in Africa and Philippines and etc. etc. And he's on part of Sage, and he's now got a plum job with the World Health Organization. In 2023 starts that, and he wrote, Farah, Whitty and Ferguson co-authored an article in Nature titled "Infectious Disease: 2014 Support of the Government of Sierra Leone," which Whitty took a leading role in designing, including the proposal to build support centres, which looked like, remember them internment camps, Chris? Yeah. Basically locking people down in tents and stuff like that, where people could self-isolate voluntarily in Africa. Or you're shot. You're volunteering, but if you don't do it, we're going to shoot you. Yeah. No.
Someone just pointed out in the chat fire that the Heineken sign upside down, it's the Baphomet. Well, it is the Red Star, isn't it? It's the communist Red Star, I suppose.
Exactly.
Same as,
It's all there, isn't it? Whether
plain sight.
Yeah, all there. Yeah. Anyway, he's been part of the World Economic Forum. He was also part of the Munich Security Conference held in Bavaria, of all places. In 2021, they did a biological exercise predicting monkeypox, starting in May 2022. And guess what, Chris? It started in May 22.
They're better psychics than me.
Maybe they've got crystal balls. Did anybody see that video of Mr. Penn?
What's gone wrong there?
I don't know.
His face is melting, isn't it?
Yeah.
It was my missus that pointed out that he looks just like Bono.
Yeah.
And they both went to see Zelensky as well.
Yeah, and Zelensky has a similar sort of look to him, doesn't he?
It's almost like when you sell your soul, you go through this transition and everybody kind of looks the same, I notice.
Like a Sith Lord. They just start rotting from inside.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good way of, it's a good analogy, that, yeah.
Yeah.
Do you think that...
I mean, looking into his eyes there, Mark, he looks
nothing.
gone, doesn't it?
Nothing. There's nothing there. It's dead.
Sad, really, isn't it?
It's called selling your soul.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think there's a resemblance to these. I mean, I'm not just saying it's these people, but if you look at those, you'd say all of them, not saying they look exactly the same, but the faces, I know some of them, they're getting older. But, I mean, Bono, over the last few years, that's a recent picture of that. He has deteriorated massively, hasn't he?
Yeah.
Got to remember as well, Dom, they'll have makeup on as well.
Yeah.
They're not just walking around like we do.
Yeah, Gozo. That's Gozo, right?
Yeah. Bono at bottom with his rainbow medal on.
From Carpathia.
Yeah.
Oh, no, it's not. It's Baaaa, as you call him.
Yeah.
Look at him. Looks like fucking Nosferatu.
It's actually quite scary when you look and see. There's some. I don't know. I mean, I normally pretty good at picking up on photos and feeling somebody, but I tell you, it's almost like I can't feel anything. It's like there's nothing there. So it's very. That's a pattern, by the way. That's a pattern.
I mean, somebody said Sean Penn looks like Zelda.
It's like Baaaa has actually gone for a vampire look.
Yeah, that's when he had to grow his hair during the close.
Oh, is that what he was doing? Yeah. Is that what it was? Right, right. Because he wasn't allowed any hairdressers around his house.
Yeah, nobody could go around his house and dress and do that. Also, pick these people out as well. These women. There is a similarity to these women. I always thought that.
Yeah, I have said that to my missus. Yeah. Maggie Thatcher literally looks like a Sith Lord.
What you're not looking at the actual image.
No.
You're feeling. You're trying to feel something, and there isn't a feeling. There's an emptiness that gives you the same feeling, and that's how you translate it into words, Dom. You translate it into, they feel the same, meaning there's nothing to feel. It's feelingless. It's emptiness. It's not like you and I. You put somebody's photo up there who's just a normal person like you and I, gets on with life, and you can feel their emotions. You can see, oh well, they feel like this, they feel like that. These, nothing. It's weird.
Yeah, it is. It is like you're looking into emptiness, isn't it?
Exactly.
I mean, Margaret Thatcher always creepy, wasn't she? I mean, it's almost like they modelled that 1990s Dracula on her, you know, that Gary Oldman played it with Buffon.
Yeah.
Even clothes she wore looked sinister. I mean, where do you buy them clothes? Do they exist for anyone else? I mean, and Cobalt blue jacket. Where'd you get that from?
Everything by design, Chris. Everything's by design. It's a game. It's a stage show.
Oops, 100%. I mean, did you see that when, who is it, had a baby? What's his name? Prince William's missus had a baby, Mark.
Yeah.
And they wheeled her out, and she had, do you remember, she had the Rosemary's Baby dress on?
Yeah, I remember.
I mean, that cannot possibly be a mistake.
Well, it might be to them too.
Yeah.
Somebody behind who's doing the costumes.
Exactly.
Who knows? But somebody knew that was Rosemary's Baby's dress. For whatever reason, maybe it was a joke. I don't know. I doubt it, but I don't know. Or have they given birth to Antichrist?
Nothing surprises me anymore. Whether it's a joke, whether it's staged, whether it's deliberate, whether they're telling people, you know, it's all by design. That's what we should know.
Yeah.
I mean, is this like the they live effects? Is that what we see? Are we seeing them slipping? Is that what we're seeing? I don't know. Because they live seems to be closer to anything, the truth, if you like, whatever the truth is, than most things from a film perspective, where we're actually viewing something that nobody else can see. Hence why I think they're going down the Botox route, a lot of these people, because they've got to change their appearance because it's becoming that bleeding obvious.
Yeah, not just that though, Dom. They're going for, you know, anyway, Sandra Bullock and all that, you know.
Yeah, Sandra Bullock, yeah. But
drop a bollock.
And talking to people, I mean, look at that.
I can understand. I can understand why a lot of people say that there must be clones.
Yeah,
I can understand it.
That's weird.
Certain times, I think that there's a lot of bullshit, but I actually think there is some truth in it. Sometimes.
Yeah. Well, they're definitely going for clone. They are looking at. Well, do we think really? Because we've just shown a video there of an artificial womb, and that was 3 or 4 years ago, and they've already said they've got one now. You know, they're already doing clones. They're already making clones. That's what the whole IVF thing were about, because they've got more likelihood of twins being born. They know this. They know this.
If you look at those two pictures there, and except for the fact that he's got that hair that no one else has got on the planet, his face doesn't even look like the same guy. I mean, it could be reconstructed, it could be surgery, whatever, but none of it matches his eyebrows, his ears, his mouth.
Yeah, I watched the program.
None of it coincides.
I watched a plastic surgeon explaining what work he'd had done with this, because I didn't just like putting a picture up thinking, because it might not be him, it might be somebody else, but we were explaining what the work. Now, it could still be a mirage, because this plastic surgeon could be thinking he's seen something that he isn't as well. I'll play this video of him. This is sort of, but it could be AI. We don't know that, do we?
I always say on this show, 2 or 3 minutes can change your life, and it has. And maybe this time it's going to be you. So please audition now for next year's season, and I'm looking forward.
But these folk, I mean, he could have had so much plastic surgery because he's just scared to death of getting old. Yeah. Who knows?
Don't you think he sounds similar sort of tone to David Beckham? Not like an high pitch, but way he talks, his delivery. A lot of these people must be either trained by the same people, or from the same, you know, to talk to camera. You know, like us three are talking. We're not trained. You can tell we're not trained. Apart from Chris, he's trained.
Yeah, I was going to say. Credit where credit's due.
Yeah. But I mean, that is a totally different. Why would you think that is an upgrade Why would you think that was an upgrade?
I think when people go that, it's a version of body dysmorphia, just because they've got loads of ability to buy and do what they want. I don't know. It's just you can guess you just think of fear, don't they?
Yeah.
Terrified of everything. So get my face ripped off and put back on again.
It's actually quite sad, really, because
nobody
these days want to grow young or old gracefully. It's sad. It's really sad.
What did you make of our friend Dolly Parton, Chris? It was quite a haunting memory, that of 2020/2021.
I remember that one. Yeah,
very haunting memory.
Horrible.
You look back at that now, and it could be, it sends a shiver up your spine seeing her there. She was at, do you know what that was, Chris, when she was dressed in the royal purple? She was at the Vanderbilt University.
Right.
That's where that was. Yeah. So she was at Mr. CIA Vanderbilt's named university, having that spear where they were funding going around jabbing people. So the Vanderbilts were doing that. But you remember people like Andrew Lloyd Webber as well, and
Dr. Andrew Lloyd Webber.
Dr. Andrew Lloyd Webber. Yeah.
That made me laugh all day. That did remember that nonsense.
Yeah.
No.
Someone asked,
but do these people know, or did because Dr. Andrew Lloyd Webber's son passed away, didn't he?
Yeah.
Not. I mean, whether it was connected or not, who knows? But he was pushing it. Does he know? I don't know.
Does he care? We don't know what sort of secret clue or what arm up his back he's got to push this thing. We don't know what they've got on him, do we? I'm sure a lot of these people are up to the nuts, if you like, in something that they can't get out of. They've signed a contract somewhere. 100%.
And if they decide to,
what was the Eagles thing? You can come in, but you can't leave, or whatever it is.
Yeah,
the Eagles song, Hotel California.
That's right. And there's quite. What was that guy? I can't remember his name, but there's quite a few videos on singers, right, who try to get out, and something may happen to either their family or children, and it's kind of quite brutal, right?
Well, I mean, there's two, Michael Jackson and Prince spring to mind, who got out of the contracts, and George Michael, and stuck two fingers up thinking they'd escaped.
Yeah, people tend to think that when you say Sony, it's a corporate company. No, it's nothing to do with Sony. It's a club, and it's very dark and Luciferian, and that's why I think what did Michael Jackson call him in one of his little speeches when he stood?
He said he was ranting, and he said he's actually I forget who the guy was. It was the head of Sony, and he said he's actually the devil. Didn't he? And like Don just said, those three guys. If you think of all the popular 80s, the most popular 80s, you got they all including what's her name, female singer. They were all except for Madonna. They're all dead, aren't they?
Whitney Houston.
Biggest 80s, Whitney Houston. The biggest 80s stars, Whitney Houston, George Michael, Michael Jackson, and Prince are all dead, except for Madonna. And what does she do? She wanders around dressed like God knows what.
Well, if Madonna calls, I'm not home.
I thought she was your kind of girl.
Do you not think she's funny, right? And this is from three guys talking, right? Have you ever heard any of you or any of your mates go, I've always fancied Madonna? No, even in the old days when she was younger.
Maybe holiday, but not so much. No, not so much.
No, but even as a kid, I remember kind of wanting to, maybe because she was fit, but no, I didn't, and I don't know anybody who did. I don't remember anyone going, "Oh yeah, Madonna." Ooh, I've always
again, what will Mark say in a minute?
More
ago.
people said that about Sam Fox in '80s than Madonna.
Yeah. What were we
weird,
say?
isn't it?
What Mark
she was
said.
giving off some energy, but her energy weren't actual.
Yeah,
it's a great point.
It is a good point.
Yeah.
But what Mark
There's
said
a few people
about
like
pictures.
that, Mark. I've noticed that you told are super attractive, but I never hear blokes say, "Oh, she's nice,"
Yeah, I never thought about
Madonna
it.
was designed. Madonna was designed for women to be attracted to, and because they thought of her as this powerful woman. But I don't know anyone who ever fancied her. She's really odd.
Yeah. Well,
She's
again,
supposed
Chris,
to
you've
be
got the pictures, like what Mark said. When you're looking at those pictures, like that picture we're looking at there, these pictures here, you're looking at these pictures and there's no life there.
That's exactly it. That's exactly.
And that's that. When you look at Madonna, when you look at Prince and Michael Jackson, even though Michael Jackson had his face altered and what have you, and Whitney Houston, there was some life there.
No, this is a different category. This is a different category. What you're showing us, this is a different kind of, hugely different kind of energy. This is, if you're going to create something, this is, to have no empathy whatsoever, and treat humanity like flies or ants. Yeah. This is what you're looking at. I often use that expression. How many of you guys, if you see a fly next to you, you just kill it, or an ant, you just kill it? It's not. Yeah. There's not even a thought that goes through it other than, God, it's dead. But this is how they
look at us.
Exactly, and people don't get that. Well, these guys who are on here will get it. Everybody who's watching, listening, they'll all get it. But most people just can't understand that.
No, they can't get their head around.
To be fair, Matt,
what we're dealing
I won't
with.
even kill a fly, except for maybe a mosquito. I hate mosquitoes. But
well, listen, I wasn't saying it because of that. I was just.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
I was saying it as an example for you to all think about. Yeah. That, have you ever killed a fly? Have you killed have you give it a thought? No, you haven't. Exactly. Well, that's exactly how these automatons, these soulless beings that may eat and drink and talk, but that's it. There's nothing else.
Well, they make decisions in a private members club that basically kills 100,000 people.
Right. I don't think they make any decision.
No, not these, but somewhere them automatrons are signing off or fronting the decision. Then let's say, that basically, like we've just seen in 2020.
Yeah.
Signing it off, standing in front of a camera, Boris and all the other people, that they've got the lineage back, the bloodline back to that royal Prometheus bloodline or whatever it is. And there's someone else as well that seems to be popping up quite a lot now. Hard work, isn't it? That
it's not just hard work. I'm just getting so I can't take much more of it, to be honest. It's getting so. Yeah, and just for everybody to know this, I used to work in Ibiza, and I used to work in Koo at times. Me and Dom went to Koo. I have no issue whatsoever with
absolutely none.
But this is different. This is different, guys.
I've been to Thailand. I've been down Bangla Road. I've been down there. Me and my missus having the right laugh and what have you. No issue whatsoever. But this is something else.
Dom, we've mentioned before, our mum worked in a gay club in the 80s.
Yeah, the Amsterdam bar in Huddersfield.
I remember the Amsterdam bar.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
They're all the best clubs. But my missus said to her mate once, Christian was, because I was explaining that we used to have my mum's mates round who were all gay. And my missus described it, she said, Christian were brought up by gays.
What? I thought it were monkeys. Like wolves, yeah. They used to babysit for us.
Yeah. I had so many. People used to call me a fag hag, and that's normally referred to as a woman who used to go around with gays because I had that many gay friends. But listen, this is a completely different. This is dark. This is sinister.
Why are they tying children into this? He's got Teletubby boots on.
Because the ultimate goal of all of this is to make paedophilia legal. That is one of their major goals, and they'll get it because it's happening as
it's happening, mate. Yeah. I saw a video of some LGBT meet, like Open Day or wherever it were, outside like a fair. And where you got the rings and they're throwing them on the spikes. They happen to be like rainbow dildos that they were throwing. Kids were walking past and throwing hoops on these dildos.
Yeah,
we're talking 4-year-old kids,
normalizing satanic ritual abuse right in front of your eyes, Dom.
He reminds me of remember that character, the talented Mr. Ripley, that type of character that's again mediocre, but has got something. And that building there, and it was Jacko that reminded me of this. That building there was the temple on Epstein Island.
Yeah.
And if you look at his jumper, he's got a child eating a red apple with golden hair. It's very similar, isn't it?
But it's not just that. If you look very carefully, it actually looks like he's holding a penis in as well in his hand.
Yeah.
It's just satanic in nature.
But he wasn't like that. That Sam Smith. He wasn't like that when he first came out. He wasn't. He used to wear suits. He was a smart lad. He was a bit overweight, etc., etc. And he lost a load of weight.
It was here. It was up here. It was eating. He was eating in one of the restaurants up here, and seemed really nice lad. Like I said, something happens to them. Something happens, Dom.
Yeah. The parasite gets them.
Yeah.
I had a funny thought, Mark. I was saying to Dom the other day, and it's a bit of a dark thought, but the old Epstein thing, and then they were linking all these famous people to Epstein.
Black Book.
Saying they were on the Epstein plane. Is it at some level? Is it trying to normalize it? Because people admire these people, don't they? And all of a sudden they find out that they're involved with these sex trafficking or whatever.
Yeah.
Is that maybe on a very subconscious level telling you it's all right?
Yeah, of course. 100%.
Telling people it's fine. It's fine because Bill Gates has been there. Prince Andrew's been there. This other famous guy's been there. They've all been there. So, and now this guy's, somehow tapping into your subconscious that it looks like that building that we were shown when all Epstein nonsense was going on.
Yeah.
Because that Epstein thing can't just be what it was. It's got to be a lot more.
There's got to be a lot more
just
to
the
it.
way it was delivered. It's
and I'm not saying that
times 10.
I'm taking 16-year-old girls there was right, because it certainly wasn't. But there's got to be something worse there. That they've used the limited hangout of those, like they did with Jimmy Savile, to cover up the real things. But
we'll never know. We'll never know. We'll never know.
The Teletubbies, is that symbolising? I think it was Lorraine that said that. I didn't put these two together, by the way. Somebody else did that. I'm not taking credit for that. But is that symbolising? Because Teletubbies lived underground, didn't they? In underground tunnels.
Yeah. They did.
Yes,
and that's exactly it. That's what I said to somebody today. This is all. It's all by design. And if you just, like you've just said there, underground tunnels, children, it's just there in your face. It really is. It's there.
Didn't that have some kind of tunnel in it? That place as well.
Yeah.
I think.
There's tunnels in it as well. There's a guy who the island who ran around it. Do you remember? I can't remember what it was called now. But he ran around the island and filmed it.
Does that remind you of the Israeli flag, or is that me? Am I making that up? I can't remember what it looks like.
Well, there's a cube there, and the cube is they all kind of bow to it, don't they? So the cube.
There's a red maze. What is it sign as well, isn't there? Can you see at the side of it?
Mm-hmm.
There's a red maze pedo maze thing, isn't there? Can you see it there, Chris?
Yeah, like the Walls ice cream sign. Symbol. And also the dome, which is, I won't pretend I understand it too well, but in that signifying fertility, like you see in all the architecture.
I'm not sure about.
How would you have that on a little island?
My understanding of domes is it creates a certain frequency that heightens whatever it is in the actual, like a church. You could, like when people have gone from a church, a lot of churches then do the sacrifices within the church. So the main crowd comes and prays and eats the body of Christ and drinks his blood. Then they leave, and then the real darkness, they come in, and then they do their real ritual. And a dome has, as soon as you start chanting, a dome has a frequency that will heighten the frequency of either love or hate or good or evil. So a lot of people think churches are filled with love, but they'd be surprised what happens in churches. I've been to hundreds of them, and I can tell you guys that churches have a lot of demonic energy and in the disguise of God.
I would I'm not saying all the religious, but a lot of them have been captured, haven't they? I believe, Matt.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, the red apple as well is Adam and Eve, isn't it? The red apple is Adam and Eve, the forbidden fruit, if you like, which would be a man with a child, wouldn't it? That would be, in a way, and also it's a red apple, and maybe could be the blood sacrifice, the adrena. I'm not going to say it, but poison, same thing, Mark. But
I mean, regardless of everything, he stood there in that outfit, and it means a lot of things, doesn't it?
Look, he's already been taken over. He's just doing a job.
Yeah.
Right? He's probably got more attachments to him now that are feeding from him than most people. He's gone. He's finished.
He won't be having a good life now.
But absolutely not. What he's being controlled, whether that is MK Ultra or whatever it may be. He has attachments, and he's finished. So what he does now doesn't shock me, but it's like I can't take any more of this. It's like, because I'm upset with the world.
Yeah. I know what you mean, Mark.
Guys,
I know what you mean.
On.
I know. As Mark Devlin says, they're lifetime actors, aren't they?
Yeah, for sure.
At the very best. And then you see stuff like this. Yesterday they locked some schools down in Manchester and wouldn't let the parents take the kids out. Yeah, the parents turned up at the gate, right? I think in Cheshire and Manchester, and they were there before the police. They didn't get warned of this. Gates were locked. They couldn't get in. Kids were locked in classrooms. They wouldn't let the parents because of a threatening email, apparently. Again, all these things we're told things, but there's never any proof, is it? There's no hardcore proof. And then it's happened again today in Leeds. So it says the headline there is schools across Leeds are put on lockdown after a credible threat email of violence against children's staff. I don't know.
Yeah, well, you know what it's all about. It's all about the separation between parents and children.
Yeah.
Ramping up the fear, scaring the shit out of everyone.
Yeah, more lockdown. See, they mention a lockdown as well in the titles and what have you. Yeah.
What would you have done? You'd have kicked that door down and you'd have grabbed your kid, right?
I don't think it'd have happened in the 80s. It just wouldn't have happened in the 80s, would it? I mean, that would have been down.
Well, you could get into schools then. You can't get into them now.
What I'm saying is that if our kids were in that school and we heard about that, we'd have gone straight to that school, we'd have knocked that door down, and we'd have got our children and said, the children are our responsibility, not yours. Protect them. But what they're doing there is psychological psyop to say, we are taking your children because we are the ones to protect them, not you, parents.
Yeah.
They wouldn't be going back either, that's for sure.
No, that is one thing I thought. I thought, well, once they'd done that, they wouldn't be going back in.
That's it. No.
But what can people do? They're working. You know, you can't change your life overnight, can you? To say my kids aren't going to school.
Yeah.
You know, I've got to pay the bills. Everyone's tied into, the hamster's wheel, if you like.
Yeah.
I've got a 5-year-old. I've gone through this thought process of how far does it go before, you know. He's no.
The Richie Allen radio show a few days ago, he had some children on the show. It absolutely blew me away. They are super intelligent. They know exactly what's going on, and it just brought, to me, it just made me realize that our children, there is hope. There is hope.
Yeah, they're the new soldiers, Mark. They're going to be the ones when you've got.
They're the new freedom fighters.
Everyone listening who's telling the kids about this stuff now, because it's got so ridiculous, they're going to be bringing them up with that thought process. Yeah. We never had that when we were growing up.
We didn't.
We found it all out for ourselves. So imagine learning that from being a 6-year-old, 7-year-old. I'm going to tell my child. I mean, I'm not going to freak her out now, but I slowly bleed these little things into her, you know.
Our mates in chat, Spider, Dave, and he's young'un. He's showing him, talking to him on phone, So, our kids will be brought up differently. Everybody in the chat, your Nico, my Jacob and Seb, and our kids are all different. They're all different. They can all see through the matrix from an early age. We didn't have that opportunity. And that's what this has done. What this has done is that they've moved people so far away, but people like us have grounded ourselves and now showing us kids what we should have known when we were that age, 10, 15, 20, what have you.
The Ranger said in the chat about the concrete thing as well. What's that all about? They've interjected this thing that your school might fall down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're doing it with hospitals as well, Chris.
Yeah, all of a sudden, all hospitals and schools might just fall on your head.
Yeah, and they've got asbestos in them and all sorts of stuff. Overnight. Well, they are. I mean, I think FB Angel V. Angel always says this, they're rebuilding, they're destroying the old construct like the Romans did, or like that happened to Rome. And they are destroying it. You can see they're destroying everything. They're sacking it. They're just destroying the very fabric that we've been used to living by. Whether it's try and do something with a council nowadays. You try ringing them up. You try ringing up a company. I mean, DPD deliveries. Try ringing DPD deliveries up. Just try ringing them up. Do you know it's £6 just to make the call, and that's customer services.
Right.
£6.
All by design, Dom.
All by design.
Yeah.
All by design.
I used to service anymore. No such thing. It's gone.
No.
Unless it's your company or mine, that we go on because we feel, we love. But corporations, there is no feeling.
Listen to this. What somebody said from DPD, and I know because I've had the same sort of thing. So somebody who emailed in, Daniel is called. I recently ordered a parcel, and I was given the slot for delivery by the parcel company DPD. I waited at home, nothing arrived. I received an email shortly after claiming that they had missed me. A further email then asked me to collect the parcel from a pickup location, which was 100 miles away, an 100-mile round trip away. Phoning the DPD customer service, £6, to complain. I was told by the lady that it's a new policy to leave parcels at a local pickup station to help climate change and reduce carbon emissions by up to 70%.
I can understand that. That makes total sense.
Yeah. And this is what they're doing. They're just smashing everything up. Even corporations now. You ring somebody up. You try, if you've got, I haven't got Sky anymore, but if you ring Sky up, try ringing Sky up.
Try have a conversation with you.
I'm in a conversation with one of those NPCs at the other end.
I've been working.
And I sympathise with them because they're playing by the Sky rule book, for argument's sake.
Yeah, there's no point arguing with them, Dom. There's no point. You're just wasting your energy. All these companies, you're wasting your time and energy.
Yeah.
Totally.
I think it were Lee, wasn't it, Master Lee, that said, if you're ever going to set up a satanic world, set a council up or deal with the council or deal with these large corporations now, because that is there to actually drain you of everything you've got, your soul, basically.
Well, you've got a government website to do anything, pay tax, pay a dark charge, going to London or wherever.
Yeah.
It's a clunky nightmare. And I said to my missus long before the nonsense, I'm sure this is on purpose just to stress people out.
However,
just to wind people up.
Within 9 months, they can make a brand new arm spear, right? Fully tested, the efficacy is off the charts, throw 500 billion into the country from nowhere. Can't get homeless off streets, but they can chuck 500 billion into the country.
Yeah.
From nowhere.
That tells you everything. People just don't see it, Dom.
No.
Just don't see it.
That's the frustration in it, Mark, that, my neighbours here, right, it sort of nods at me, but somebody was telling me the other day that they were inside. I said, I haven't seen them for a while. I said, no, they're self-isolating. They've all tested positive. Still.
What, now?
4 years now.
Yeah.
Do you know what I find scary about that, right? Is when you think what's going on in the house,
what's going on,
with the kids and stuff, what they're doing to. There is that.
But 2 kids.
Yeah, but when you seriously think, right, what's going on in that house? Like you have conversations in your house, whatever. What are they telling their children?
I don't know.
What is that going to do to them in the future? They're traumatizing these poor little fuckers.
Yeah. The kids are being traumatized forever in a day. It's just different forms.
But by your own family, though, Matt. By your own family, they're in that situation where they've taken this test and they say, "We've all got COVID."
Yeah.
Do this, and I can't even get my head around.
Yeah.
No. The mental.
behavior.
No. I've had to mention this. Lady here now. One thing that springs to mind here, although we're all laughing that she's lying, blah blah blah, and all this type of stuff. I mean, most people who fill the CV out probably turd polished it to some extent. Everybody does it, right? But why now? Why has the plan not worked with what she were doing? Because it doesn't seem to do. It seems to be what they don't realise. These people, they aren't. Although we give them credit saying they're clever, but they own everything, so they can be clever. Yeah. They're not. I don't think they're that clever because we can see through. All right, we don't know all the plans, but we can see through it very easily, right? Has it not worked, what she's doing? And now they're having to change it, and by doing that, they've got to throw her under the bus, for argument's sake. But there's a reason behind, because they could hide this. This wouldn't appear in the Daily Mail if they didn't want it to, would it?
No. We've been told it for a reason. I don't know. You can't even get your head around the psychological operation going on there, can you?
I can tell you something, like as somebody who's intuitive, this girl is deeply traumatized as a child, and not only that, that trauma turned to trying to compensate by trying to be something, and she would do anything she can to be something, and she'll lie, cheat, she'll do anything to get to where she believes that she needs to be to try and compensate from her abuse as a child. That would be my attunement to her, and I'd say be very, very careful of this person, very careful.
Yeah, a successful peasant mentality, if you like, that willing to do anything to climb up. The Romanian SS, who were worse than anybody else.
Climb that greasy pole.
Yes, yeah. Similar to Matt Hancock. Similar sort of type of character. Yeah, you mentioned this, Chris. We'll have to be careful, talk around what we were saying here. But on this fantastic platform that we're on at this moment, the free thinking platform for the world, they're now they're fact-checking the fact-checking doctors, aren't they? For misinformation. I mean, this is what their lies do, though. Because they'll keep lying, they've now got to go another level because everyone can see through it to back up what they're doing.
So they're going to verify doctors so that they can verify whether whatever you're saying on the tube is real or not. Is that right?
That's right, yeah. That's correct, yeah.
Do you know what I find fascinating, Dom?
Yeah.
I think a lot, well, for the community that I'm in, of people who are doctors, nurses, just, normal everyday lawyers that are friends of mine, they all know that this fact checkers is bullshit. They all know it's bullshit, complete and utter bullshit, and yet it still continues. So it just shows you they don't care what people think. It's not even a thought anymore. It's just an agenda. So they'll push it every single day, and it'll never change until they've got what they want. And when they've got it, then they'll change.
Yeah. Yeah, and they don't care how long it takes. It could be 10 generations away.
Yeah.
I used to say to Dom, Matt, you remember when we had the 20 years of terrorist attacks? They got so ridiculous, didn't they, just before the Divok nonsense? They were like, on a weekly basis, we were talking to Ollie about this. And it was almost like they didn't care. Some of them were so crap that it didn't matter whether you believed it or not. And I was saying to Dom at the time, they've got the footage and they've got the news articles. They're all there. So they've built history up. Whether it existed or not makes no difference because they've got it all on record. They've got all the newspaper articles saying this happened, this happened.
Yeah.
They've got the news, they've got the footage, they've got everything. So whether you believe it or not makes no difference.
Exactly.
It's now history.
In two generations' time, they'll play that video, and for them, that's going to be reality.
Exactly.
They're creating a satanic reality.
Yeah, a screensaver, like a screensaver. It's. What did you think? Did you get any of this, Mark, in Spain?
We've had it a few times, and the worst one was maybe a year ago, and they said it came from the Sahara, and it basically turned the whole of the Costa del Sol red, completely red.
Yes,
and
the Clint Eastwood film.
And the one thing on national Spanish television, which somebody sent me and screenshotted it. No, they didn't screenshot it. They videoed it. Was of the government saying, "Don't go outside and don't breathe it in."
Wow.
Because you're going to get chest issues and infections and all, and it could last for a long time and it could be deadly. Okay, so the question is, what I asked is, I typed in Google, how many people live in the Sahara, and it was like so many tens and tens of thousands of people living there. How come they ain't all got chest infections?
Yeah.
How come they ain't all dying?
Yeah.
So you realise it's all bollocks. That was by design again.
Well, the Yorkshireman could say that.
Well, we didn't get. I didn't really get this one this time, but I got the red one that a year or so ago that you're on about, Matt, and I got some weird nose infection.
Yeah.
And I don't know if it was that, but everything was covered in red dust. Everything.
Yeah.
Literally had to hose things down to get rid of it. Like that, actually. It looked like that.
Well, it's strange because the day after this happened, my youngest had a nosebleed, and he was sneezing quite a bit. And again, this isn't a coincidence. It's just not a coincidence that these things happen after.
There's a lot of nosebleeds going around, Dom.
Yeah,
if you know.
Well, I used to struggle with them, Mark. I used to, for the last 14 years, I struggled with them. I used to have 2 or 3 a day. It used to get that bad. I used to think I was going to have to go to A&E to have them cauterized. That's how bad they used to get.
My theory behind that here in Costa del Sol is there's a lot of people getting nosebleeds, and my theory is that whatever's entering into the physical body, whether that be through poison foods, poison from the skies,
energy,
the body is trying to reject it. It's trying to clear and purify it, and it's going to kick it out wherever it needs to, whether it's down below or out of the mouth or through the nose. And I do believe that there's definitely that in it. I think there's definitely something in that, and that nobody really knows what nosebleeds are. Nobody can conclusively say that this is why a nosebleed happens. Some people, back in the days, they used to say you've got too much blood or all of these things. But if anything comes out of the body, if you sweat, if you're sick, if you get diarrhea, it's the body cleansing and clearing toxins that shouldn't be in there. So it makes perfect sense that if your blood is contaminated, it's going to kick it out. That would be my interpretation as a healer, but I could be completely wrong.
Well, one of the things that,
I just thought
one of the things that stopped mine is since Christmas I've been doing massive doses of vitamin C IVs, and as soon as I started that, I used to have as Crystal voucher. Since a kid, I used to have terrible sinus issues, which didn't help myself doing shed loads of Gianluca Vialli back in the day either. However, I used to have terrible sinuses, and since I've been doing this iDose vitamin C IV and B complexes anyway, over 20 to 30 grams per time, massive doses. Anyway, I haven't had hay fever this year. None. I haven't had any. I haven't even had a sniffle this year. And all my nosebleeds have stopped. Like more or less overnight. Anyway, yeah. But
I had a thought when Matt were on about the nosebleed thing is in films, nosebleeds always used as like something bad's going to happen.
Right.
So you know what I mean?
So true.
Yeah.
Closer.
Yeah, exactly.
Something's going to happen.
Yeah, like some pressure from somewhere.
Yeah, something's going to happen, whether it's a horror film or anything. Yeah. It's like the film cough in a film. When someone coughs in a film, they're going to die.
Yeah.
No one coughs and gets better.
Did you see that? Have you? I mean, we spoke about this before, Mark. I don't know what it's like in España, but I mean, over here, and I know some people in the chat were talking about it, but we've noticed that the sun is white now. It's not yellow anymore. And ironically, my wife were on, I don't know what it were, on Instagram or something like that, and there were people on there commenting that the sun were white. These weren't conspiracy nut jobs like us. They were, just people who were just going about the business saying it's been warm, but it's been a strange kind of heat, like an electric heat. People commenting this on Instagram, who, like I said, just normal people who misses.
Well, like a year ago, Don, when I was saying the sun was here and the moon was here, and I was showing the kids at work, and then on Instagram and TikTok, people say, "Why is the sun there?" And even my nipper pointed it out. She said, and this was a year ago, so she was 4, and she said, "How can the moon be there when it's daylight?"
Yeah.
But I'm sure there's some astrophysicists out there who'll tell us.
Brian Cockend will tell you.
Yeah, Cock will tell you.
Yeah,
but if the Earth is here, right, and the moon's here and the sun's here, so that's us. Everyone else is in darkness.
I'm with Goggle Mask on that one.
Yeah, yeah. I'm just saying theoretically.
Yeah,
that's how. There's no explanation, is there, other than that?
No.
That's Buzz Aldrin. Buzz Aldrin, he'll tell you.
Buzz Aldrin will tell you.
He'll know.
Yeah. But yeah, the white sun. I mean, it used to be yellow. Well, when I went to Croatia, it was yellow. The sun was bright yellow, you know. The sky was crystal blue. There's no white film on it. Over here, even on a clear day, if you look as high as you can with your own eyes, you can see there's some sort of white film there as well.
It's funny actually, Dom, because Seb, my son Seb, who does the theme tune for Sheep Farm, he sent me a load of pictures of contrails today. And I said to him, do you not remember when we were in Spain about 6 years ago? And you could just see him going over in front of the sun. I said, watch the sun, it'll vanish. And it just mystified this. It's not a cloud, it just mystifies it and dilutes the power of the sun, doesn't it?
Yeah. Somebody just talking here about Morgellons. You'll see him come across Morgellons disease, Mark. You get like little hairs growing. Well, they're not hairs, but they're like blooming live hairs growing out your arms.
There's
like
a lot of different Morgellons as well.
Yeah,
There's like you can have severe lacerations. And you can see the shit that's
like death by a million paperclip cuts, isn't it?
It can be really bad. It can be really bad. But yeah, I mean,
isn't it down to psychological issues?
It's all in your mind. Yeah, you just your skin splits because it's all in your mind. It's like saying Jeff Goldblum in The Fly. It's all in your mind. Just you thinking that's
that your eyes are bulging out your head.
Yeah. And I was looking at the weather when that.
It looks like Satan. It looks like, you know, the devil's, you know, Kate. What happened to the beautiful weather girls? What's happened to all the lovely, you know, Scotchos?
Where's Ulrika gone? Ulrika.
I started thinking that maybe that's why. Did you ever used to wonder why the weather was always on the TV? Because you think no one pays any attention to it, do they?
Only the girls do. Only the girls.
But I remember.
Were they setting us up for this point in time?
Yeah.
Where
until
weather's going to be
smartphones,
important,
right?
According to them.
I can't keep up with this chat. I won't save that. FBV, email me a link to that. I'll give it a watch. You've got a video on your channel about it. But when we used to go on holiday, say when we went to Ibiza, or me and you went to Malta, Chris, in the 90s, you didn't have a phone. You didn't care what weather were going to be like. No, everyone's a weatherman now. I get a delivery guy coming. It's warm, isn't it? Yeah, it's set to rain on Saturday, and it's giving me a rundown of what weather's going to be like. It's Michael Fish. So they've instilled this weather thing in people's mind now, and even when it's warm, people go, "Oh, it's warm, isn't it?" Well, it was warm in 1976 as well, mate. You know, warm in 1994 or whenever it were.
We should stay in. We should stay in. Yeah,
we should stay in.
Let's cancel our holidays. I overheard somebody down the road. I started laughing. I just like
wow.
what? Yeah.
My next door neighbours had just here actually because he made a lot of frigging noise putting it in. He's just had aircon put in, and I remember thinking, why has he got it's not that hot? Why has he got aircon put in? And it's because he's
for 3 days
been watching TV, hasn't he?
Yeah, 3 days a year. It'll be nice when it's.
You don't need aircon in fucking England. Yeah, it would be
nice.
nice. I mean, to be fair, every year I get the fan out for a week or two. You know what I mean? It's not like it's.
But that'll be another thing, though, Chris, won't it? Air conditioning units have increased in price and increased sales because of how warm it's getting. In reality, it's not.
They're not healthy neither, Dom. They're not healthy. A fan. Ions, you know, that's healthy. A fan is healthy. That's good.
What gets me with these pictures, the whole of the Mediterranean is red.
And England as well. Yeah. England's been fucking shite all summer.
Yeah. But the North Sea, right, is bright red, like it's on fire.
It's black in the middle.
Yeah. France is black.
I remember last year when we had the hottest day ever on the planet in England. And I was down in Folkestone visiting our Seb. And it was weird because we went to a pub. I think I told this story on our podcast, but everyone was talking about the dogs. And it was weird. They were like, no, I hadn't brought my dog out. I've got water with me for my dog. And telling me, and I was a stranger. And I said to Seb, has there been something on Instagram about dogs? And he's like, yeah, they've been saying, keep your dog at home because it's too hot. I mean, how do dogs in Africa get on?
And Spain.
Yeah.
And Spain.
There was a story today.
Just 1 day of heat, Mark, and you were supposed to not take your dog out. They were telling you on social media.
It's all fear porn. It's all fear porn. It's almost like they're looking for something thing that they can use as a reaction to scare the living shit out of people so they can continue their agenda and satanic ritual abuse.
Yeah, but look at this story.
Right, a woman,
Chris, look at this story.
Sorry if I just got it. A woman came up to me that day and said, you know, I've got my dog out, and this woman had a go at me because I've got my dog out. And it caused an argument with two people about taking a dog out in the sun.
Right.
It's insanity.
Yeah.
Mental. Go on, sorry if I...
Well, no, it is insanity. And another one, then the spreading fear. Listen to this story, right? This is in the Metro. Baby girl dies after dad left her in the car in 26-degree heat. A 10-month-old baby died after being left in a car. The baby's father, reportedly a lecturer at a university in Lisbon, Portugal, is believed to have forgotten to drop her off at the nursery before going to work.
I'm not buying that.
Does that sound real?
Oh, it sounds totally real.
Well, if that poor baby died, it was something else. I mean, yeah.
Well, to be honest with you, Dom, like nothing surprises me anymore. We did a talk about this with the jib jab and how it's disconnecting people from actually realizing who they are, what and what they're doing. And you know, there was a doctor wrote something. It was on the Richie Allen radio show, and it was regarding that she noticed that the mothers were no longer looking at their children or connecting the same anymore. And it was like the world is becoming very much that way, Dom. So more madness is being created because of the jibby jabs. And what's happening is people are becoming more zombified. So
optimized.
So it doesn't surprise me in a sense.
No, it doesn't. No,
craziness is happening right now. And like, to be honest with you, Dom, there's been plenty of times that I've gone to a shop, tied my two schnauzers up, then gone home and thought, where's the dogs? and run back to the shop. The dogs are looking at me and saying, what are you doing? Like, what the hell?
But again, a rare European hurricane could keep the furnace burning under Britain into next week. This was last week's story with that heat map. Where did that didn't happen? No. These are the stories they're pumping out. Nobody questions it. No, all right, we're talking about it. Nobody questions that this is real or it ever happened. It's just another story that's been left aside. That's just another fear story where, you know, somebody will be looking at the weather thinking, oh no, there's a hurricane coming and it's going to keep the furnace burning.
And they call us conspiracy theorists.
I know, mate. I know.
Well, in England, it's been getting hotter in September for about 10 years, for years actually, a long time. It's been getting hotter in September, warmer.
Shit in
milder
summer
in September.
Nice in May and June. Shit in July and August.
Well, when we were kids, we used to camp in Easter.
Yeah.
And then it's kind of shifted up on it.
And sometimes you get a load of snow as well.
Yeah. It's moved up on it.
You could be talking about climate change, Chris.
Well, it's climate change. The climate has changed, but it's
but what
just not.
What about if they knew? I mean, whether they've got. My view is I don't think they've got total control of the weather. I think they can control certain aspects of it, and they try to control all of it. But sometimes Mother Nature says, "Look, you and I'll rain all summer if I want to." However, I think there are aspects where, I mean, I keep saying this story. I was in Dubai once, and in the front page of the paper it said Japanese scientists flying over Dubai made it hail, and I were there, and it hailed, and it was the first time it had hailed. And after that day, though, there was it was foggy for 2 days, you know, really foggy after it hailed.
Which kind of makes sense, doesn't it? Because that hailed along there.
Don't after firework night,
heat mixed with water. Yeah.
But yeah,
you saw that machine, right? That they've made years ago.
Yeah.
You saw that, right?
Yeah.
So,
cloud seeding thing.
Yeah. I mean,
well, do you remember that footage of Jeremy Clarkson?
Yeah.
That was the one. That's
he was at NASA. Yeah, and they fired all that steam out, and then it started raining.
That's right. So, I mean, if they've created that, what else have they created?
Yeah. If they're showing Jeremy Clarkson that pumping clouds out. Look at this story I came across here. Baby boy's dark brown eyes turn bright blue overnight after being given a 91 divot treatment. So they've got a new drug. It's not a jab. It's a new drug.
Is it a suppository?
It's actually heartbreaking.
The Sam Smith suppository. Yeah. The dildo suppository.
You know, I don't mind so much when it's adults. They want to do whatever they want to do to themselves.
Yeah.
But Jesus Christ, it's a child. They haven't even started living. Makes me.
It makes you blood boil, doesn't it? Or
some of it's mandated in America, isn't it? I think. And when you hear about kids taking this, especially when they've been told that it does nothing and you don't need it, etc. That's when a dark heavy weight lands on your heart, isn't it? When they start talking about children.
Exactly.
It's
exactly. That's what tore me apart. I couldn't cope. I went on a right bender and started screaming and shouted on YouTube. And you know, as soon as they said that the kids are going to get it, that was it. Yeah.
Well, and I've watched some stuff on Rumble about people's kids. Yeah, and you don't even know. First of all, why would you put your kid forward for it? But then it's too late. There's nothing you can do then, is there?
It's very similar to going into a hospital, a children's hospital with a cancer children's ward. It's the same feeling you get. It's the same feeling. It's just soul destroying. I mean,
yeah. I mean, the drug they're using there is a drug called favipiravir, sold under the brand name Avigan. It's an antiviral, whatever that means anymore, medication to beat influenza in Japan. There is evidence that during pregnancy may harm the baby. It is unclear if use during pregnancy is safe, but it is likely to be okay during breastfeeding. I like where they put that in. You know, it's unsafe during pregnancy, but it's all right if you're breastfeeding. That's fine. More serious side effects include gout, liver toxicity, sensitivity to sunlight. Experiments in mice at Merck and other pharma companies confirmed its ability to kill tuberculosis and was rapidly used in humans. So,
just reminded me there, Dom. Actually, and I think I forgot to send you that article. It was in the Daily Mail, and it was saying there's an increase in gout.
Right.
And it started to explain that gout's caused by clotting. Just another one of them.
Well, again, it's that other sepsis thing, isn't it, Chris, that we were talking about earlier, where there's an increase in that. I mean, they brought that illness out several years before this nonsense, and it were on a steady increase to start with, and now that's just blown up, and that's basically just blood poison. That's what people got in wars when they were being blown to pieces and left in battlefield.
There's an article on TV, Dom, saying about rising sepsis in kids. I'm obviously not a doctor, but sepsis is it's got.
You are your Dr. Love.
They've got to go into your bloodstream, haven't they? And up until recently, you'd never really heard of it, and then all of a sudden, it's been advertised on buses and ambulances and buses and stuff.
Yeah,
saying signs for sepsis, and it's in all the news. Signs for sepsis.
Yeah,
it didn't exist before, did it? You know, it was quite a rare thing. What I'm trying to say is they're selling it now like it's meningitis or an illness. Not that it's
the same thing, because they're all a similar sort of disease. It's blood poisoning.
No, but what I mean is you've got to gouge yourself up or have an intravenous thing going to your bloodstream to get sepsis, if I'm guessing.
They're sold as bacterial infections when really it's toxicity poisoning.
Yet again, I'm trying to explain it, but I'm going too far.
Yeah. That's what it is, though, isn't it?
Yes.
But yeah,
modern medicine is just a spell. It's casting spells.
Yeah.
If you just push that to a side and realize what disease is, you realize that it's all bollocks. Everything. It's all bollocks. All of it. We've been programmed to just go into a pharmaceutical shop and just buy, and that's it. We're okay. We'll be all right. We'll be fine in 7 days. Yeah, we'll be all right, mate. Yeah.
It's how are you doing anyway, Mark? With your leg, people know about it, don't they?
Yeah, a few people know about it. Yeah, yeah. How am I doing? It's healing. So when like the throbbing through the night is basically a good sign. It's that the blood is circulating, and then the throbbing is a good sign that there's healing taking place. But from the first moment that I actually broke my ankle, that very moment, I had to slide. Yeah, and the doctor said it's the worst break he's ever seen in the whole of his time. Basically, yeah, my foot was just shaking loose, and I did it.
Go funny.
I did, yeah, mine too. And as I was halfway down the mango grove, and I had to pull myself up right up to the top, sliding up to the top. And all I kept thinking is getting to, because we've got a swimming pool, a salt water swimming pool. Put your foot in the salt water swimming pool, and then wait for the ambulance to come. And when I did that, they came, and I was in shock. You know, your body goes into shock when something like that happens. But I've got to be honest, mate, I'm damn proud of myself, what I've been through and how I've handled it thus far.
Yeah.
Really proud. And I think most people have that great power inside when some kind of shit happens. It's amazing what your body and what you can do, you can do. Honestly.
How did you do it, Matt?
It got stuck. There was a wild animal. My partner said, "Oh, I've just seen a wild animal." And my little dog was outside. And this animal could have easily just picked my little poodle up and just grabbed it and taken it. So all I saw was kind of red to chase it away. So as I chased down the mountain, my foot got stuck in between two rocks. So I went forward, but my foot stayed where it was. And that's basically what happened. So, and then to kick a man when he's down, I got some emails after mentioning that I'd broken my ankle of people saying, "Oh, you need to look at this. You must be. Yeah, this is a sign that you work with Satan." Apparently, hey, and even Ole said it to me. Because I was on the phone to him and he says, "Oh, you're not one of them Satanists or something." And I said, "Why? What do you mean?" And he said, "Oh, don't you know? There's been a lot of these people have had their ankle broken."
Yes. Oh, their ankle in a strap. Yeah.
Which is a sign that they are part of the demonic or Luciferian or satanic. And I'm like,
I'd never even heard of it.
I said, "Well, you know." How would I be? I was actually questioning myself. Am I demonic? Am I evil? And he's laughing and he stopped me and he said, Mark, he said, it's a bad joke.
I think what he's on about is when, do you remember a few years ago and they were saying all these celebrities were going to get arrested because they got their legs strapped up?
No, I thought it was a black eye or something. So I didn't know about this. But then I looked into it because I'm thinking, well, am I evil? Is there something wrong with me? Am I one of these that are pretending to be something? And I'm like, because you're like, is there something wrong with me? Is there evil in me? You know, I wanna be open to it, because if that is the case, I want to clear it. I want to know how to not be that person. Not like, don't be stupid, am I heck? You know, like I've been a healer for so many years. It's like, you have to be open to anything, because you can get attachments, you can get negative energy, you can get demonic attachments. So, so I questioned myself, and then I went online and started typing it in. And of course, the biblical text always scares the shit out of you. And there is something that says something about a stone and an ankle or a foot.
All right.
So there is something in it, but as far as I know, and I'm aware of myself, I don't know. I've not hurt anybody, and I do my best to help people. So I don't really know how. But then I think, Dom, it's very easy, and Chris, it's very easy to tarnish everybody with the same brush. Yeah. And I think a lot of truthers get so deep into it that it's almost like an addiction and a drug, that they're looking to find things everybody then. And that's why I stepped away from it.
That's how I keep myself real, because the one thing that this parasite would like is all people in the chat and everybody, whatever, do podcasts and stuff, to be infighting, because that would be the perfect plan for them, because they're basically doing the BBC's job for them, aren't you?
Angry Orange says you're too boring to be evil, Matt.
Yeah. Especially my love life.
Yeah.
I think we're all too boring to be evil that way.
Yeah. Far too boring. Angry orange. Yeah.
No, you're right. Actually, I asked myself. Yeah, you're right. I am boring. You're
So
absolutely
am I.
right.
Me too.
Yeah.
Very boring.
Yeah.
It's a strange scenario where everybody looks at everything, and I don't listen to everybody. Don't mean to say I don't like them, but it's a difficult one to get in. People like to find the bad in people, don't they? Anything that there's there in somebody's life, they like to find it. And I suppose the nature of what I research is probably, you could say, I try and find the bad in people as well, I suppose. So,
But usually when something bad happens to you, like Matt, I know it's hard to see now, but usually a year or so down the line, you think, oh, well, that happened for that reason, and that made me realise this, or find this, or
yeah, I would say so, Chris. Yeah.
Something you might see a book while you're like, oh, pick that up, I hadn't read that, and
or I want to write a book or whatever it is.
A minuscule change in everything you do.
Yeah, I felt this year for me, it's been a bit of a clear out year. There's a lot of people gone that were like parasitical attachments. That, I'm not around anymore, and I didn't have many in my life to start with.
Right,
but yeah, it's been a strange year. Me and my wife were talking, and yeah, so even less people now. Because you've got to travel light, haven't you? Hence the title here, We Stand Alone Together, which was, it's weird because I mentioned that to Ollie, right? And he said, yeah, well, he said, you got that from Band of Brothers. And I said, I did, yeah. The actual Indian name is Currahee. It was a mountain called Currahee that they used to run up and train, and it stands for We Stand Alone Together. It was an Indian phrase. That's why it's a good phrase. Which is what we are. We all... This community that the BBC like to invent doesn't really exist, because this is a lonely battle, isn't it? We can come on here and all have a chat and interact and stuff like that, but it's quite a lonely battle, isn't it, with yourselves? Because when you interact with the real world out there, you are on your own, aren't you?
It's true.
To a certain point.
No, you are. You are, and if you're actually looking for people to back you up, then you're in the wrong place.
Yeah,
you're not who you're meant to be. You're not who you really are. Like when you stand alone, and it doesn't matter who's around you, you're still in your own power. That's when you really are true. And you look at all the ancients, the Buddha, Jesus. They all stood on their own. They all went to find themselves, and you can only do that. I posted something today. I don't know who it was who said it, but maybe Einstein, a few of them said that, if you want to find the greatest creativity, if you want to know who you truly are, you need to be on your own. You can't do it around people.
No.
I can't remember who it was, but someone got really angry with me when I said to them, you're born alone and you die alone. You can't say that. It's a fact, isn't it? I mean, it's not negative. It doesn't mean to be negative.
Yeah, but the thing is, right, in my world and understanding, being alone isn't being alone. Once you actually face and conquer that fear of being alone, you start to realize that you were never alone, and that is the place where you become so connected with everything, and you're so aware of everything, that is one of the major, in my opinion, if somebody says, how do you wake all these people up? Tell them to spend time on their own.
You answer a lot of questions, don't you, when you're on your own?
Yeah. Amish Inquisition, Phil just said, I have to go out with the missus's work friend, Hubbies, on Saturday. I could just see him there.
Can you visualise him in that social situation?
Yeah.
I'm sure it'd be all right.
Listening to him all talking about.
You say this to me, don't you, Dom? Because I do exist in the normie world. I go to work in a kitchen and stuff. And I just don't talk. I think most people know my opinion, but I just don't talk about it like Dom does, and people walk backwards whenever they see him. I kind of just get on with it. I'll happily talk about it if anyone wants to, but most people know my opinion, but it just doesn't come up.
I'll tell you what. How long have you been talking like this, Dom? When did you start telling people about, health and all of this? When did it start?
Well, I mean, we used to talk in the 90s. You heard me talking about.
I mean, really, when
stuff.
you really started getting somebody to one side and talking to them. I mean,
Probably.
I came to your house not so long ago, and you were talking to one of the guys there who were a builder or something. You were like,
It makes you fucking toes curl sometimes.
I was chuckling to myself listening to Dom trying to tell this guy who hasn't a clue about anything.
Yeah.
Right? Like, teach Einstein to a child in a day. Like, and I'm giggling. But you get to a point, Dom.
Yeah, you
do. You grow past it.
You do.
You stop.
I'll tell you something funny.
I'd say, Mark, well, it depends. From a health
Dom,
perspective,
just let me tell you a story quickly.
2008. But
this was at our dad's funeral, right? I know this is quite dark, right? But at our dad's funeral, Dom's outside and everyone's listening to him because, it's our dad's funeral, so they're going to listen. So he's talking to a group of people at his father's funeral, and his son runs in and he says to me, as soon as I hear him mention aborted fetuses, I'm fucking out of here. And I looked out the window and I could see all these people looking at him like, what the fuck is he on about? Jacob ran in. He said, as soon as I hear aborted fetuses, I'm fucking tapping out.
I tell you, I was in a pub, right? A really nice high-end pub. And I was sat next to a high-end lawyer, and I was pushing all of this stuff onto the lawyer about satanic and all of this for 1 hour. And after that 1 hour, this woman lawyer, she looked like she'd been drained, right? That she had no energy left. And I was like, I've done my job, right? And she walked out, and then I realized sometimes it's better not to say anything. I absolutely.
Like I have done.
I unloaded 20 years in 1 hour.
Yeah.
Right, and I realised that wasn't such a good idea.
Yeah. I don't know if somebody's put that on there for a joke, but are sheep farm Freemasons? I wonder.
What is a Freemason these days, anyway? I mean,
well, we're going to say my missus's dad was a Freemason.
Yeah, I worked.
Most Freemasons.
I worked in a basement.
You can't say that, Chris, because if you say that, that means you are.
Underneath my above my basement, where I used to have all my like furniture and stuff for my shops, was a Masonic lodge, and I used to hear this. Right, I think it was 3 times, and it's their stick that they bang on, and then they start hopping on one leg and stuff like that. So I used to put my ear and listen, and it was some freaky shit, man. It was.
Well, there's loads in Halifax, isn't there? Because when I was a kid, I used to be a waiter, and I used to do some outside catering waitering.
Topless waitering.
For the lodges.
Topless waitering.
It was for the lodges, and I didn't know what they were, but they'd lock the doors and then they'd all go in there. But a lot of them at the bottom level, they're just businessmen who have been offered. So you can't. They're not all bloody. It's not all like that, is it?
Well,
a lot of them are just businessmen who get together and chat about
different levels, in my opinion. I don't know because
there is different levels. It goes up to 33 degree, doesn't it? Yeah. But you can see the pattern. What it's all about is they get these normal businessmen in, and then they see how far up they can take them.
Yeah.
So they say this guy's willing to do this. This guy's willing to do
this. There's a massive ego attached to it as well, because every Mason that I've met all think that they're better than anybody else, and they look down on you, and they've got this stupid handshake that they want.
Well, they've been invited into.
That they want you to know, right? This is the ego in these stupid idiots, right? I knew a lot of them, and they used to come into my auction house, and they used to shit. And I said, "What the fuck? Sorry, what are you, what's that? What are you doing?" I knew what they were trying to do. They were trying to tell me, but I just look at them like they're a fucking idiot, you know?
Yeah,
idiots.
Yeah.
Let's become a whatever, Masonic, whatever you are, so that I can make money, and I'm in a club and get stuffed. Get out of here. Go on your back.
But even then in the Masonic world, does it take up to get into 15 degrees? And you're still nothing really.
No,
in that
you're nothing.
33.
Yeah, it goes up to 33. But my missus told me a funny story. She said her mum and dad, her dad was a bit in the lodge. I know her dad very well, right? He's not a Satanist. He was in it because he liked to go and get a meal and a beer.
They like goats.
Yeah. And he's
what you mean, curried goat?
Yeah.
Him and his,
like goats in those boots that Sam Smith's got on.
A mum and dad had an argument once, and they had to put white gloves on, and the mum had snipped the ends of the fingers off all the white gloves. And he put them on, and they were fucking fingerless gloves.
Right then, well, we're gonna leave it at that. I promised the missus I'd be done for 9:30. Otherwise, I'll be for it. No, what?
Yeah. Yeah, you will.
Yeah, I will.
Happy wife, happy wife, happy life.
Yeah,
exactly.
Don't know about that. Happy wife, no knife.
You know what my missus said to me the other day, right? I was in my shed making some sculptures, and her niece was coming around with her boyfriend. And this just the insanity of women, no disrespect to any women. And she said,
you do realise you just alienated most of our listeners.
Yeah, see you later.
No, because,
yeah, you're on your own here, mate.
She said, she looked in my shed and she said, should we take the dining table outside? And I said, this was my exact words, I don't give a fuck. Right? And she said, and she went off and she came back and she goes, well, should we? And I said, no, leave it in the kitchen. Being sensitive? And she said, I said, no, leave it in the kitchen. And she said, I'm going to take it outside. I said, why did you ask?
The irony is, Mark, down when we were on the farm, my dad had a shed and he used to be in there working, cutting wood up and stuff like that. And Chris in his house now has got a shed in his back garden where he does all his sculptures. And my dad used to wear a vest and a flat cap, right? And if you go into Chris's shed, he's got a vest and a flat cap on. The only difference is Chris turns his flat cap round. Yeah.
Well, it's true what you say, that we do end up being, we do mimic our parents to some degree. And sometimes, even though we hate the fact that, you know, some of us who were abused by our like fathers or whoever, mothers, that it actually aggravates us to think that we're even like them if we didn't love them. If we love them, then we want to be like them. We want that lovely thing. But I want to leave you on one thing, right? When I was married to Susie, we were going to a wedding. And we went to Manchester to this big, massive place where it's a shopping centre. Is it Trafford? Anyway,
Trafford Centre.
And she said, "Well, I need a wedding dress. I need a dress for the wedding." So I said, "Okay." So we got there, right? And as a good husband, we went shopping for her to have a dress. So we went into this first shop. And she put this dress on. She looked absolutely, I got to say, stunning. It fitted her perfect. It was the most beautiful dress I've ever seen. And she came out, she said, "What do you think?" I said, "That is absolutely amazing. And also, thank you, God, that's beautiful." She took it off. We spent the whole day going to about 40 different shops, and we ended up going back to the first shop to buy the dress that she first put on. Now, explain that one to me.
Yeah, there is no explanation. A bit like the story that Chris told about his wife going to that Ann Summers party.
Yeah,
Do you want to relay it to Mark?
I remember. I heard it. I heard it. I listened to it.
The anal bead story.
Yeah, I heard it.
I'm not... You should have seen her face, Mark, when I showed her that Auntie Covey had done a meme of it.
Oh,
right. So I didn't tell her that we talked about it on the show, and then I showed her the meme, and I could see the cogs turning, and she went, "But how?" And the meme was me strangling Matt Wancock with some anal beads. And I showed it to her. I said, "Look at that! Someone sent it with this meme."
You know, something. These are the beautiful stories that stay with us forever.
Yeah.
Yeah. Laughter conquers everything.
Yeah, it does. And on that note, thanks, Mark. It's been great as usual. I hope your foot gets better. I did send you that stuff out, so it should be arriving any day.
Very kind. Thank you, John. Thank you so much.
I sent you a tub of vitamin C out and some other stuff that you asked for.
Yes. Yes, I want to try some. I mean, I've got so many different ones here. It'd be nice to try yours because, I trust you. So thank you so much.
Yeah.
Thank you.
The guys that made it up for me are really good. They're the fourth generation herbalists.
Amazing.
Yeah, so it's like the great granddad, the granddad, the grandma, the father. You know what I mean? Now it's the son. So they're on the fifth generation. The son's now trained up to be a herbalist. And it was the guy that I first went to see going back in 2008, who was an iridologist who looked in my eyes and said, do you want to go out tonight? No, I didn't say that. He said, you've had a... Do you fancy wearing some green wellies?
Only if they got Teletubbies.
Yeah, I knew you were going to say that.
Yeah.
I'm psych.
Yeah, you're psych. He said you've had a hernia operation, and I never met the guy before, and I thought I'm going to listen to this guy because I've had an hernia operation, and there you go. So that's how I've got to know these guys.
They're amazing, and I recommend to all your listeners and watchers, iridologists, if you get a good one, they are absolutely worth their weight in gold. And thanks everybody for coming on from Mark Bajerski.
Cheers to everybody.
Thanks to everybody. I've been following your messages, Sam, and everybody. Thanks, guys.
Yeah, they go a million miles an hour. There's Sam Carno, there's Eye for an Eye.
So many beautiful people.
Ian Adams, Amy and Patrick. Amy and Patrick came to see you the other day, didn't they, Chris?
Yeah, they came to my house. Yeah, thanks for the wine, guys.
AC, there's Crab Claws there. Everybody, FPV, Cheech Met Duck. It's too MK. Anyway, I'm not going to be here all night.
It means so much, because we're honoured that you give us time.
Yeah.
It's so lovely.
Lindsay Pringle. Yeah, it is.
It's really nice.
Yeah. Anyway, okay then. We'll see you soon. Listen out for the interview we did with Ollie, and I'll put this out as well, so it'll be a double bubble of this weekend, so to speak. We'll see.
Claws.
Yeah, Crab Claws is there. He'll be logging off now, going on OnlyFans. Had to get that in. Lorraine's in as well. Sam will be watching Rise and Shine. See you all later. We'll see you next time. Bye.
Yeah. Or a good chicken.
It were a good chicken, that.
I'll be a part of the oceans and sky. When I was young, be